Good morning, y'all. This is the professor with The Professor Helps. As I've said before, this is my motivation. This is what I'm thinking about, what inspires me, what frustrates me, trying to keep it real and authentic with you. So if you find this helpful, go ahead and hit subscribe right there. And then also share with somebody who's going through a difficult time and might benefit from what I've got to say. So my husband and I, after 9 years of being together and sharing the household chores a certain way, we're both going back and forth about how frustrated we were that, you got it so easy. You just have to do X. And I was like, well, you have it so easy. You just have to do Y. And so I came up with the brilliant idea, why don't I do X and you do Y, and let's see how that works. So I think it's really important when you experiment to call it that. So that way, if it doesn't go well, it's just an experiment. You can always experiment again. In fact, it's actually going pretty well. One of the first things that happened is we both had to, as classic control connoisseurs, we had to let go of the idea that the groceries would be done the exact same way. Guess what? They're not. I'm going to buy different things. I'm also going to buy stuff that isn't necessarily on the list, because that's one of the first reasons that I didn't grocery shop in the first place, because I always get a little distracted and I go buy stuff that isn't necessarily part of the meal planning, but I definitely want it. As long as it's within budget, we're fine. It's just a little different than the way that he would like to do it. Same goes. When I did the dishes, he didn't like the way that I did the dishes. There's a specific way that things have to be done in the dishwasher. So now he gets to do that. So he's really happy. Shopping with a toddler, adorable as she may be, oh my goodness, is maddening. And it was a lot of, let me grab this out of her hand and put it back on the shelf because I don't need SpaghettiOs at the moment, but she thought that we did. And the thing is that it's not impossible, and it's all an adventure. And part of what I'm teaching her is the things that I want to learn myself, honestly. We were shopping and she would take something out and I'd say, okay, do we need that? And she said, no. I said, okay, so let's put it back. And I was super frustrated, and I ain't gonna lie, it was tough because I called Jeremy like 5 times to be like, do we get this? And do we get this? And do we get that? And he was really, really patient with me, which is great. I think I would have probably lost it after the 3rd phone call. Have you never gone grocery shopping? And the truth is that I do and have. But for the entirety of our marriage so far, he has done the cooking and he has done all of the shopping. So doing the shopping leads to him doing the cooking because he's doing the meal planning, etc. And we do batch cooking, so you really only cook the once for like 2 weeks, which is pretty awesome. And so anyway, so we're at the grocery store, and Vivian, who is my 3-year-old, is adorably, and may I say annoyingly, hope she doesn't watch this, and if she does, sorry babe, I love you, but that was tough. It was one of those things where I was like, I'm going to figure this out. But at first I was like, no, I'm not taking her with me anymore. And I told Jeremy that. He's like, well, I take her with me, so that's part of the deal. I was like, okay. So it was actually really helpful when we got to checkout, because she actually put things on the conveyor belt, which was super cool. And, I'm getting to teach her about money and things like that, which are things I never learned about until I was well into my 20s. And so as we were finishing that, I was walking out and I took a picture of her to kind of capture the moment. And I remember feeling so frustrated and tired and aggravated. And I went, light bulb. This is how Jeremy feels every time that he grocery shops. No, maybe not, because he's had 9 years to do it, and, he's gotten used to it by now. But then I unloaded everything, and then I brought it upstairs, and I figured out, I started planning, when am I going to cook? And so there's a lot of planning and labor that goes along with figuring out the cooking and the shopping and everything else for the week. So that's stuff that he's been doing for a really long time that I had zero appreciation for. I mean, don't get me wrong, I thanked him for it, but there's a difference in walking a mile in someone else's shoes. Yes, you've heard the phrase. Now, that doesn't mean that Jeremy's going to be wearing my red sparkly sneaks or my blue chucks, even though he would look really good in them. This is all about changing perspective. So that way I can see it through your eyes and you can see it through mine. So after about 2 weeks of this, my husband and I sat down and we started talking. And we both basically said, I like this better. Like, it was a little hard at first to get used to the new task, but honestly, I like this way better. In fact, I feel like I'm getting off scot-free. Okay, that wasn't him, that was me. And we both said, okay, let's keep trying this for a while. Now, I don't know if this is gonna last forever. It might just last a couple of months, but it's really been interesting to go back and forth. Now, it has not been all sunshine and rainbows, because we're still duking it out over the dishes, because the way it's supposed to work now is that I'm doing the shopping and I'm doing the shopping and I'm doing the cooking. And he's doing the dishes and Vivian's laundry and our towels. We always do our laundry separate because lots of reasons, but we're still duking it out over the dishes, and I say duking it out, but you know, there's a real conversation going on there, and I know we're gonna figure it out because we always do, and it's still frustrating to be in that soup. And so, soup and dishes, I don't know, maybe that doesn't work. The reason I bring this up is because it's not perfect, but trying something new has really opened my eyes to the things that my husband does for us all the time and that I appreciated, but maybe not as much. And he's definitely said that he likes the fact that it doesn't take as long to do her laundry as it took to shop and cook. So personally, I think that this has been a great success of an experiment. We're still in the middle of it. And like I said, the dishes are still not resolved. We're still trying to figure out, how do we divvy it up? Do you do my dishes? Do I do your dishes? Do I do everyone's dishes? Like, what's fair? How does that work? And it might be that as we're experimenting, we find a whole new way to do things. And maybe there's a different way to divvy things up. Only time will tell. So this is about you. It always is about you. Tell me about yourself. Tell me about your partner. Tell me about the way that you divvy up household chores. Why do you do it that way? Would you ever consider an experiment like this where you do a switcheroo and kind of go, let me try your job and see? Tell me about it in the comments, and tell me if you want to try it with me. We're at least committing to it for another month, and so keep me posted. So, ladies and gents, that is the professor signing off.